In a somewhat interesting twist from what we were talking about yesterday, there is an update to the story of Shamima Begum, one that I had originally believed would call for many more people to be annoyed, outraged, and generally disgusted at the Home Office. The same people who wouldn't give Asia Bibi asylum. I thought that we would welcome back Shamima Begum with open arms, maybe a little fanfare, and give her one of those beautiful mansions on Millionaire's Row. But instead, that's not what has happened. Instead, a letter has been sent from the Home Office to Shamima Begum or her family to indicate their decision with regards to what happens to her next. And I think it right I read the whole thing because it's worth it. I do apologise about the ITV News watermark. Apparently they own a letter. Please find enclosed papers that relate to a decision taken by the Home Secretary, Sajid Navid, to deprive your daughter, Shamima Begum, of her British citizenship. In light of the circumstances of your daughter, the notice of the Home Secretary's decision has been served on file today, the 19th of February, and the order removing her British citizenship has subsequently been made. Copies of each are included with this letter. If you're in contact with your daughter, or are able to establish contact with her shortly, I would be very grateful if you could ensure the Home Secretary's decision is brought to her attention, along with her right to appeal to the Special Immigration Appeals Commission that arises as a result of the service of the Notice of Intention to Deprive her. The relevant appeal forms and guidance notes are also included with this letter in case you do have opportunity to relay these to your daughter. If you are aware that your daughter has instructed a lawyer that you would like me to also send the enclosed papers to, then please do let me know and I shall arrange for this to happen. I will be very honest, I am very surprised that they have made this decision. I am very surprised they acted as quickly as they did and came to a decision that I can fully support. What I didn't know was that Shamima Begum also has, due to her heritage, dual citizenship with Bangladesh. Now, whether or not they want her is a different matter, and part of me is already a bit skeptical this will happen, her going to Bangladesh or just staying in Syria and rotting in the camp, because even though we're leaving the EU, the European Court of Human Rights might still have power over us depending on the deal we have. If this appeal goes through that commission and is rejected, there is still a chance it could go through the European Court of Human Rights, and they could decide based on the circumstances of her, quotes, suffering in that camp, that it would be inhumane for her and her son to stay there, and equally inhumane for her to go to a country that she herself has admitted she has never been to. So it is possible that she could still end up here, back in the United Kingdom, on full state benefit, living the life of luxury that everyone on benefits has. I'm going to put my sarcasm sign up for that, if it wasn't obvious enough. Now, since this has happened, the family have said they are disappointed with the decision and are considering legal avenues to challenge it. In the letter itself, it recommends a Special Immigration Appeals Commission. But of course, you would want to extend this further, appeal this further, and human rights courts are a perfect place to go. Naturally, with this decision, one has to think about what the motivations were for Home Secretary Sajid Javid to make this decision, and to do that, you call upon the 1981 British Nationality Act, where a person can be deprived of their citizenship if the Home Secretary is satisfied it would be conducive to the public good, and they would not become stateless as a result. I do recall yesterday someone leaving a comment which, when I went to reply, they deleted, which indicated that no one can be stateless under international law, because I'd said that, and then they said, well, actually you can, but you deleted your comment before I could reply. Ho-hum, never mind. What I find fascinating about the British Nationality Act is that the Home Secretary has been very inconsistent with how he and previous Home Secretaries have used it. There are many rather suspect individuals in this country that have come here who are then waging their own little jihad to tear down our democracy. They, many of whom have in fact been convicted in this country, aren't sent back or having the nationality they've managed to get their hands on revoked. They are still kept in this country. Now, many of you will wonder why. Well, that's because of the European Court of Human Rights, actually. we can't get rid of a number of people actually that are in our prisons because they've gone to the European Court of Human Rights. Because when their back's against the wall, they then like to say, well, if I go back to the country I come from, I'll be killed. Because consequences, yo, in it, blood. In a statement delivered on Monday in Parliament, Sajid Javid told MPs that he would not hesitate to prevent the return of Britons who travelled to Syria to join ISIS. And he said that more than 100 dual nationals have already lost their UK citizenship after travelling in support of those terrorist groups. If that is true, Mr. Javid, might I recommend you name and shame those benefit scroungers so we can then summarily point, mock, laugh at them because there's no way they are living better now. There are consequences to your actions, and I'd very much like to point and laugh at you, as would many Britons. Some because they have different motivations to mine. Mine is, well, this country's quite nice, quite tolerant, and quite peaceful, and advanced, and you gave that all up for your fictitious god, and the reward at the end wasn't your virgins. No, it was rubble. Congratulations. Yesterday when I made my video, that was instantly demonetized, which I found hilarious when I noticed that on major news channels it wasn't demonetized in the slightest. Can't imagine why that is. Where's my tinfoil hat for that? I pointed out that Shamima Begum does not regret travelling to Syria. She equated the damage done during Syria airstrikes as justification for the Manchester terror attacks. Some of those victims who lost their parents are now raising their younger siblings because they were orphaned, and they themselves have said, no, don't do it, don't let her back. Public outcry hasn't been as divided as you think. Yes, there are a number of celebrities that have taken the stance that, well, she was young, but the lack of remorse, and even during interviews, the lack of understanding that it was wrong is astonishing. She, rather interestingly, has actually said, I actually do support some British values, and I'm willing to go back to the UK and settle back again and rehabilitate and that stuff. That is a direct quote. I'm not sure if anyone can decipher it. Which British values are okay? Is it our tolerance of your faith, perhaps? Willing to go back to the UK implies that you'd have to settle for us, though. And our survey says, and settle back again? Well, that would be very difficult. Your face is hardly forgetful, even if you wore a bin liner. And rehabilitate and that stuff. I said yesterday I would want you to go through a de-radicalization program. I would want you to publicly denounce ISIS and publicly apologize for what you did. For leaving this country, a country that would give you everything. We really would. You chose to give it up for a perverted notion of a Muslim utopia, which was demolished within 4 years. To the point where there are a few hundred families being held in one of the final bastions of ISIS. Why are you not there with them, living your utopia-based life? I do want to restate a point I made yesterday, one that is very clear. Yes, you have lost your British citizenship, and there is a chance you may get it back, or be allowed to come back here under very specific circumstances, or just given free reign, a new home, new life, new name, perhaps something very, very British like Mohammed, and then you can raise your child in extremist peace. But I do not believe your son, Gerard, should have to suffer. And if you can't come back because you want to raise your child here, but you can't because you've been denied that right, I still believe that your child should be given a chance. I am a glass half full kind of guy, so I'm more the optimist that your son will do better without you, a toxic limb, than he would with you here or you over there with him. Certainly as this story is going to progress, because this happened within the space of a day, there is a chance that more information may come out. The lawyer has been very vocal, and of course if he is, and anything else happens, and that special commission makes a decision, I will make it a key point to let you all know. So I hope you all have a lovely Wednesday, and thank you all for listening.